breakout off the open. So I'm trying to go long for calls 24,650 or 599. All right. So let's say we get that set up. Let's say we get up here and you hear me call out NQ longs, QQQ calls. I'm in these guys and I'm in the calls. And the price starts ripping to the upside. We want to scale out on the way up, obviously. But when I hit this peak up here, when I hit 24,728 and when I get basically right around 600.8, I will sadly need to take a majority exit because there's a high probability we rip up there with the market open and we can either consolidate and then slowly start to move up, or it could end up being a pivot point, complete reversal, and we just come back into the range and you see a big sell-off on the day. All right, so just keep that in mind. Now, in order to go short, I'm watching for a failure of 24,608 and or 597.9, okay? That's what I'm watching to see for a failure of this key zone. We can see a continued flush to the downside. You see we've held this pretty well, right? Basically the entire morning. We've held my level pretty well. So definitely something to keep in mind. If we give that up, it could get nasty. It could get very, very nasty. You could take any of these trades in the pre-market. Yes. If you're trading options, you cannot. You have to wait till the market opens. So, which is in 9 minutes. So if you see one of these setups start to occur in the pre-market and you like it, if you see it approaching 608 and you want to take that entry, just know whenever I take a trade, I use a stop loss myself of 15% because I'm trading options. If you're trading futures, contracts, the candle movement has been a lot more volatile. I still have a lot of students finding success with a 15-point stop loss, but I'm also seeing a lot of students have a lot of success with 20 to 25 points, simply because their entries are a little bit later. They have some latency delay because they trade on TradingView, and TradingView is always going to introduce some type of lag because it's connected to your broker. You're not trading natively through the user interface of your broker. So just keep that in mind, okay? As always, you are more than welcome to use my verbal cue for a stop loss because, as you guys know, when I enter a trade, I always say out loud if I get stopped out. If there was no trim whatsoever, it never went into profit, and we get stopped out, you know I'm going to call it out, and vice versa. You know if it's going to move into profit, I'm going to mention that as well. I'm going to say, hey, I'm trimming, I'm scaling out. I'm usually say I'm trimming. That's what I mean. When I say I'm trimming, that means I'm selling some of my position. I'm going, hey, I'm going to sell some of my position here, and if I'm doing my best and I'm not forgetting, I'm trying to say the percentage of my position I'm getting rid of. So I'll say, hey, I'm selling half of my position here. I'm selling a quarter of my position here. And then whenever we do, I'm moving my stop loss to entry. And you'll know I'm moving my stop loss to entry because it will look like this. So let's say we entered at 650. I would be like, all right, QQQ, NQ longs, I'm in these. And then we let the trade, let's say the trade hits 20 points profit. So let's say the trade rips to right there. And I'm like, all right, guys, I'm trimming stop losses at entry. That is how you know my stop loss is at entry. And I'll do something like that. I'll say, all right, now I'm targeting 50 points profit. And that's an example. All right. All right. So you have my setups for NQ, QQQ, what I'm looking at for that. Tesla, big fan of the weakness. I'm a big fan of the weakness overall in the market today. But I'm a big fan of Tesla's breakout for puts on watch down here. 389.4 area for puts on watch. That would be the 385 puts. If we start to see a reversal setup come into play, I would be interested in Tesla if it can show us strength above the pre-market high. So I'd be looking for calls around 395 realistically in order to see if we can actually pick up some volume around this 394.50 area. And that would be the 400 calls. All right. Meta. I do like the weakness on Meta as well. I'll be watching for a breakout for puts on watch at 634 or 622. So if we close below, if we open up below, let's say we open up at 632.76, I would look to take an entry at 632. But I did like the failure of 634 as well. And then I will only look for longs on Meta if we can get above 638. It's the only way I'm trying to go long. All right. And then NVIDIA. NVIDIA here, obviously very weak. It's been weak. It's been dying. I completely forgot to mark out that profit that one day. Some of you guys were getting in these shorts. I completely forgot to mark that out here, but I know that was some big trades last week on NVIDIA also. What I would be watching for today, because this is consolidating in the pre-market after a gap down. This could be a gap and go in either direction, okay? Because of this aggressive gap we've had in the pre-market, this could be a gap and go or the overnight. Gap and go, meaning you still see a big continuation move. It could keep flushing aggressively, or it can have a massive recovery. So for NVIDIA, I'm watching for a breakout for calls around 175.37, so up here. And then I'll be watching for a breakout for puts around 173.7. So that's pre-market low, that red dotted line. That's what I'll be watching for a breakout for puts. All right. Contracts would be the 180 calls up here or the 170 puts down here. All right. And then for Meta, I had the 640 calls or the 630 puts. Now, something worth noting as well is Microsoft's strength, guys. I want you guys to take a look at Microsoft's diverging strength here. Microsoft's pretty strong relative to the market, right? So that might be something to keep an eye on. If you're looking for a divergence play, breakout at the open to the upside, I wouldn't try to play downside on Microsoft, just the upside because of the divergence. That could be a really clean setup. So something to keep in mind if you're a big fan of Microsoft and you like trading it, definitely keep that on your watch list as well. All right. All right. I'm going to get my watch list here ready to go, my contracts. All right, so NVIDIA, breakout for calls, 180 calls. And the 170 puts. We got Meta. 630 puts or 640 calls. Okay, I'll look at MU right after this. And Tesla, the big one. 400 calls or 385 puts. All right, and then QQQ. Good old QQQ. Probably didn't put the contracts, did I? I did not. QQQ, I'm going to be looking at the 600 calls or the 590. You could do the 597 or the 596 puts, whatever you prefer. 597s do have more open interest as of now. All right. Got OBS ready here. Let me take a look at MU. What happened, OBS? Where are you? There you are. All righty. Okay. All right. Tesla's shown its weakness here. I like the MU weakness, especially if MU rejects 400. I like MU's weakness if it rejects 400. You could look for a breakout, honestly, at 398.75 for puts on MU. That's your preferred setup. And Microsoft's divergence is still looking pretty here. All righty. All right. So here's the deal. QQQ, NQ, you're going to have to be quick, guys, because I got a tight range here. If you wait for my call out, you might be late to the entry. This is a very tight range, and I'm expecting a big move. So just keep that in mind. Like an aggressive move, not like a 600-point move. That's not what I mean. Right now, I have my calls ready to go. I have puts right below it just in case I need to flip really fast. But as of now, I have the QQQ calls ready to go, the 600 calls. I do have Tesla puts ready, and I have Meta calls ready. Microsoft also looks primed for that breakout. NVIDIA's inching. It's getting close. But Microsoft is right there. QQQ is right there. And so is Meta. So just keep that in mind, okay? Obviously, I can't call out 4 things at once. QQQ calls, guys. I'm in these. Entry was basically right at the open at 649. It's rejecting me right away right here. It's rejecting me. I'll tell you if I stop out, 15%, 15 points, sitting right at the entry. Quite the fight here. There's a bunch of fighting, but on the buying side, on the volume footprint, there's a bunch of buyers stepping in here. Tesla shorts as well. I have these ready. I have these ready on Tesla. I will be getting ready to get into these. If we start to reject here, I'm in Tesla as well. Tesla on the fill is $1.73 a contract. QQQ's contracts are holding up okay. It is getting close to my stop loss, though. Trimming on Tesla here, 210 a contract on Tesla. Taking my first trim right there on Tesla. Want to see that push straight through. Taking my first trim here on QQQ, everybody. First trim on QQQ. Oh, my goodness. It's moving a little bit too fast. Hold on. I'm trying to draw these out. Tesla's entry was just a bit before that pre-market high. I got to take my second trim here on QQQ. Second trim on QQQ right here, $3.50 a contract on the second trim. That first trim was roughly around $2.77. Fill was roughly around $2.40 a contract on the fill, guys. Absolutely gorgeous trade. Gorgeous. Definitely went into some drawdown, but that is okay. Sitting here at 88 points profit now. I'm taking my third trim up here, guys. Third trim on QQQ, $3.75 a contract on this third fill. Sorry, third fill. Stop loss now at entry. Oh my gosh, it just hit 100 points profit. That's 100 points already. What you'd want to see if you want anyone that would like a re-entry of some type here, I would say if we can see it hold this order block, just to be responsible, you'd have to see it hold this order block. Tesla has come back to my entry and stopped me out. I only got the one trim on Tesla at $2.10 a contract. And Tesla came back to my entry and stopped me out. Bounced right at my 388.26 level. Look at that on Tesla. Right at the level. Just ripping straight through here. 100 points profit out the gate. Not as pretty of a trade as last week, probably for your futures traders, because that did go into drawdown, but the options contracts held up beautifully. It really just depends on where your fill was. This thing just wants to keep going. Taking a fourth trim here on QQQ, guys. $4.50 a contract. $4.50 a contract. Going for 200 points now. 200 points profit. $200 points does line up with another 4-hour level. Massive profit here. Yes, that is why I always mention my stop loss verbally. I will always mention my stop loss verbally. NVIDIA straight through that level. Microsoft looks like it worked as well, but it is coming back to the entry. Watch that stop loss on entry on Microsoft. Meta straight through 638 also. So if you took any of these on the NVIDIA or the Microsoft, bravo to you guys on those. 638 or 175 would have been your entry. Remember what I told you? I told you I was expecting an aggressive move. I was expecting an aggressive move, a gap and go play. Gap and go, meaning we had that big pre-market gap, right? We formed this massive gap. We're coming up to 200 points. We're coming up to it. We had this big gap, and we might be either doing a massive continuation sell-off or a massive recovery play. All right. taking that fifth trim up here. Fifth trim, everybody. $5.37 a contract. Absolutely beautiful. Again, futures folks, I totally understand that trade might have stopped you out just because of your drawdown, but the options held up beautifully. But that is also why you can use me as a sounding board. You can use me to follow my trade, just in case you feel a little bit sticky with the futures trade. All right, majority out of the trade here. I am majority out of this trade. Sold pretty much the whole thing, 90% of my position, guys. I've now sold the majority of the position here. Just looking to see now if we can get a retracement. Now, in terms of entering here for calls, I think that's really, really scary. Just putting that out there. Now, it is a very strong 5-minute candle close. You have two setups you guys can do. If you're patient and you don't want to risk taking a loss whatsoever, wait for a pullback into 24,766 or 24,800. I bet you at some point today, this will come back to 24,800. 24,800 is a magnet, guys. It's a magnet, very strong level. Otherwise, you can attempt calls here on your own. All right, NVIDIA, I would sell the majority here on NVIDIA, guys. I would trim now on this if you entered, where I was saying you could go for calls. That's 20 points. This is where I would take that first trim. I'm drawing a separate box for you. That would have been your stop loss. Maximum, it would have been down here, maximum. But this is where I'd be trimming regardless. I would now put that stop at entry. You got 20 points. You got a 20-point trim. See now if you can get to that next 4-hour level. Because you're entering on a candle that's very extended. You got to take what you can get. Remember, this is 200 points on that first call out, on my call out where I entered. I am majority out of the trade. If you got in on the second call out, this is where I would take your second trim. Take your second trim right now if you got in on that risky breakout and you did not wait for a pullback. That's 40 points for you guys. I'm now going to go for 250 points profit personally for my second trim. Or my, you know what I mean? This would be my sixth trim for me. This is 40 points for the reentry. 45. Still 24,800, guys. Mark that down. Mark 24,800. I want everybody in here right now, whether you're in a trade or not, everybody on NQ, mark 24,800 if you trade NQ. If you trade QQQ, I want you guys to mark out, it's 602.60. That's a very, very nasty level. Mark it out. Mark it out, mark it out, mark it out. You're going to thank me later. Got a big selling pressure here. Big selling pressure. You would be stopped at entry on that second trade, on the second QQQ NQ entry. This would stop you at entry. Okay. Peak there again, 45, 47 points, whatever. It's all the same. 45, 47. Tesla's trying to rip through here. Microsoft absolutely ripping. Oh my goodness. If anyone is in one of these single tickers, I would love to know, well, mainly Microsoft or Meta, I would love to know what your profit was on it. That's what I would like to know. I know on NVIDIA here, we hit roughly 200% just now. NVIDIA's at 200% profit. There we go, Tesla. Look at that. Let's see if Tesla can diverge here from the market. If Tesla can diverge, that'll be a nice setup. You can try that 395 break. Tesla's holding up while the market's dumping heavy. You guys see why we exercise stop loss at entries, by the way? You guys see that? That right there is why you exercise stop loss at entry. So there's that retest of 24,800. Let's see if this can bounce aggressively here. I also want to see if Tesla starts to push with the market here. If we can bounce 24,800, and if Tesla can start to rip, those can both be their own little setups. I'm mainly concerned about SPY rejecting the 682 level and NVIDIA rejecting 179.84 on NVIDIA. There we go. There we go. There goes Tesla is flying through that level. This is where I would take that first trim on Tesla. I would trim right here. Your fill would have been around $1.27, and this is $1.65 a contract on the 400 calls on Tesla. I would place your stop loss at entry. This is more of like a trade idea, obviously, if you took it. It's not like I called it out, but I would place that stop at entry if you took that. Again, you've gotten one trim. All right, we are bouncing the 24,800 level. You guys see that? Textbook. Trim now. Trim now if you took the 24,800 bounce at all. If you took a 24,800 bounce, this was the setup I was talking about earlier. If you guys remember, I said there's a high probability if you take this breakout, you might just get stopped out. And I said, but I bet you at some point, this will pull back, retest 24,800 and bounce. And look at that. A gorgeous 47-point bounce. Really 400 points for the next one. Actually, I'm going to target 427 points. I want to target that up there next, that next zone. You guys see that? That order block zone, that's what I want to be targeting next. If we can get up there. I think it's highly unlikely that we get up there, but that is what I want to target. But otherwise, this is 300 points profit currently. We hit that next PT. So I'll leave that up to you guys if you want to take a full exit or if you're going to try to hold this puppy. But definitely something to be thinking about. If we can get up there, that is probably going to be a nasty rejection area. Okay. So feel free to go ahead and mark out that area, 25,075, as we start to push to the upside a little bit more. All right. All right, guys. Y'all have a wonderful, wonderful day. I stayed a little bit too late, 20 minutes past, but I will see you guys tomorrow morning. Same time, same way we trade. Everything's the same. All right. We don't, I don't really change anything here too much. It's all the same. So, all right. You guys crushed it. Have a blessed one, everybody. And again, thank you for all the kind wishes for Paul. It really does. It means a lot. So really appreciate it from everybody. All right. God bless. Everyone have a great one.